Hi guys, welcome back to anybody who's taken the time out of their day to give my video a watch. I wanted to continue where I left off yesterday, discussing ideology, Eastern ideology versus Western ideology. I wanted to do specifically was to go more into detail, go into definitions. I'm a firm believer that words have power and the meaning of words have power specifically. And therefore, I think it's important for each and every one of us to learn as much as possible. So let's start from the top, shall we? What is ideology? An ideology is a set of beliefs or philosophies attributed to a person or group of persons, especially as held for reasons that are not purely epistemic, in which political elements are as prominent as theoretical ones. Formally applied primarily to economic, political, or religious theories and policies in a tradition going back to Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. And so again, we come to our two ideologies, the Eastern versus the Western ideology. The Western being comprised of more of an individualist mindset, and with the Eastern being comprised of more of a collectivist mindset. Collectivism is a value that is characterized by emphasis on cohesiveness among individuals and prioritization of a group over the self. Individuals or groups that subscribe to a collectivist worldview tend to find common values and goals as particularly salient and demonstrate greater orientation toward in-group than toward out-group. The term in-group is thought to be more diffusely defined for collectivist individuals to include societal units ranging from the nuclear family to a religious or racial/ethnic group. Individualism is the moral stance, political philosophy, ideology, and social outlook that emphasizes the moral worth of the individual. Individualists promote the exercise of one's goals and desires, and so value independence and self-reliance, and advocate that interests of the individual should achieve precedence over the state or social group while opposing external interference upon one's own interests by society or institutions such as government. Individualism is often defined in contrast to totalitarianism, collectivism, and more corporate social forms. Under collectivist ideology, scholars have devised two forms of governance: socialism and communism. Socialism is a political, social, and economic philosophy encompassing a range of economic and social systems characterized by social ownership of the means of production and workers' self-management of enterprise. It includes the political theories and movements associated with such systems. Social ownership can be public, collective, cooperative, or of equity. While no single definition encapsulates many types of socialism, social ownership is one of the common elements. Communism is a philosophical, social, political, economic ideology and movement whose ultimate goal is the establishment of a communist society, namely, a socio-economic order structured upon the ideas of common ownership of the means of production and the absence of social classes, money, and the state. Communism includes a variety of schools of thought, which broadly include Marxism and anarcho-communism, as well as the political ideologies grouped around both, all of which share the analysis that the current order of society stems from capitalism, its economic system and mode of production, namely that in this system there are two major social classes. Conflict between these two classes is the root of all problems in society, and this situation can only ultimately be resolved through a social revolution. An individualist mindset allows for the growth of capitalism and the possibility of fascism. Capitalism is an economic system based on the private ownership of the means of production and their operation for profit. Central characteristics of capitalism include capital accumulation, competitive markets, a price system, private property, and the recognition of property rights, voluntary exchange, and wage labor. In a capitalist market economy, decision-making and investments are determined by every owner of wealth, property or production ability in capital and financial markets, whereas prices and the distribution of goods and services are mainly determined by competition in goods and services markets. Fascism is a form of far-right authoritarian ultranationalism characterized by dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposition, and strong regimentation of society and of the economy, which came into prominence in early 20th century Europe. The first fascist movements emerged in Italy during World War I before spreading to other European countries. Opposed to liberalism, Marxism, and anarchism, fascism is placed on the far right within the traditional left-right spectrum. Now, folks, as you can see at the edges of both of these in this diagram, beneath fascism and communism, I've written tyranny. And that's because at the very edges of these two, that is what's waiting for all of us. We all walk a very fine line. Fascism is tyranny, and living under an oligarchical political ruling class in a communist regime, make no mistake, that is tyranny, folks. Now, I live in the United States. We have a constitutional republic. It may not seem like it today, but that's what we have. In America, we ascribe to the Western ideology of individualism. Our Constitution ensures the inalienable rights of each individual citizen to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These rights ensure that under our capitalist system, I have the right to pursue my own goals, my own career, to earn my own money in a legal, lawful way, and spend it as I choose. Now, folks, in America, we are in danger of losing our individual rights practically every day. The Democrat Party adopted the socialist platform in the 1940s and coined it democratic socialism. And you can see the result of that today in 19 of the 20 largest cities in the United States. They're run by Democrats. The one that's not is run by an independent. I challenge anyone who's never been there or doesn't live there to visit one of them, spend a day there, and go through the neighborhoods, especially the really grungy parts, the places that everyday people actually live. These cities, these slums, really, they are being ran by an oligarchical political ruling class, the Democrat Party. But that's not our only danger. We face two dangers. There is fascism on the other side of that. And fascism can only come into fruition under the control of large corporate conglomerates. But I would challenge you folks, I would ask you to please think very deeply. What happens when your corporate conglomerates, the people who run those, are tied in, and in some cases may be your oligarchical political ruling class? What is a normal citizen to do under a situation like that? What do you do under a situation when the CEO of a smartphone manufacturer can lobby multiple senators, multiple representatives, not just on a federal level, but on a state level? That's my take on the reality that we face today, folks. Please leave a comment and let me know what you think.